Good evening, everybody. September 27th, 2021. Nothing can be easy, unfortunately. Bitcoin did not hold the ideal area here at 42.8 that I was hoping to see held in order to potentially give us a impulse up and break out of this potential diagonal up. But it has failed to do that, and I did say yesterday I was a little bit suspicious of this as an impulse anyway. It didn't really look impulsive, but I was going to give it a chance. If it could hold that 382 there, potentially it would have been an impulse up. We might have had an opportunity to move up in a nice strong manner, but that opportunity at this point seems to be dead. So that does not necessarily mean that we are in the bearish scenario yet. We may still be making a leading diagonal of some sort off the lows here. So let me just go through a couple different possibilities here. Possibility number one would be sort of this more immediate bearish scenario where we are still completing this yellow count that I have here. 1, 2, this would have been 3 here, 4, and 5 still needs to come down to that 37.5 to 38.5 area that I'd been looking for. That is still a possibility to complete this move down. When we pumped up here to 45K, that really made it not an impulse any longer. As far as the fibs go, it broke well above the 0.5 fib of this move from 2 to 3, which wave 4 really should never do. So that's why we were considering the possibility that maybe we're not going to get that and we're going to go up higher instead. So, but it is possible still that we're just getting a very convoluted and choppy move down, and will eventually spike into that area once again. Of course, it is still possible that we go into the super bear mode as well, and that would be basically, this is a 1 and a 2 of a move down. Now all of this action in here does not really look impulsive. This really just hit the 1.0 extension of that. So I think we're probably fairly safe against that possibility, but just in case, it does actually project down to like 30K, and that would likely just be the first wave down of a much larger move. So anyway, we'll deal with that if that comes, but so yeah, there's scenario 1, bearish scenario coming down to 37.5, 38.5, and then scenario 2, the bullish scenario I was playing with last night, basically just moves into a slightly different path here. Because we broke down below this 382 level, I can't really consider this to be an impulse any longer, and it really just kind of looks like A, B, C here, and then potentially, best case scenario, this little spike that we saw earlier today is the B, so A, B, and C down, which we just finished. That would be best case scenario, and then we would need to see an ABC up from here off of these lows, and what that would do then is give us a wave 1, a wave 2, and then a wave 3 somewhere in this region for leading diagonal. And then from here, it's really just going to have to hold these lows, which is where I've had my stop all along here, because if we can come down and do a 4 and then a 5 like this, basically something along those lines in a diagonal, if we can get a full 5 waves in, then we can still consider this to be the bottom, but really we need to see that fully play out before I can consider the bottom to be in at this point in time. So let's see the other thing I can consider here. 1, 2. So basically this would have to be A. So if that's A of 3, and assuming we've already bottomed in B of 3 here at 41,950, let me make that red, then C should go somewhere in this region here. So again, we're just kind of overlaying boxes on top of boxes here, but main resistance zone for all of these various things is really sitting in this area. And ideally 45.8 looks like maybe that'll be the place to go. If it could extend higher into this box, like to the top of that, 46.7, that would actually be even better, because it would give us a much better leading diagonal then. If we got, 46.7, like right around here, something like that, and then this is our wave 2, so we have a diagonal. Basically we'd be looking at something along these lines, where we're going 1, 2, 3 would come up here, 4 down, and 5 up. That may be enough to push us up above resistance. Unfortunately, we would likely see more chop after that, because leading diagonals are really not great trading cues, but at least 5 waves would give us hope that the bottom's in. But we would still see then a pullback probably below the channel as a fake out maybe. So we can still come down easily into this 43K area even once that's struck and fully played out at this point. Now obviously at any point we could see a pump of some sort come up and prove all of this wrong. But at the moment I'm not seeing anything constructive as far as expecting an immediate pump. But I think that's best case scenario what we're looking for. And let me just label this then 1, 2, 3, probably up here-ish. 4 will come down somewhere, and 5 up, maybe into this region here. So let's make that red, and let's make that larger. Okay, so there's sort of our alternate bullish interpretation would be if we can get those red parentheses numbers to play out. That would be the best case scenario for the bulls. Otherwise, I think we need to come down into this 37.5 area. So I am still going to leave my stops at 40.6, but I think I'll probably plan to throw a couple bids in that 37.5 to 38.5 area. If we drop below that, I mean, it's still a 5% to 8% drop from that region if I stopped out. So I think it's relatively worthwhile to stop out and then rebuy, and I probably won't put all of my buys back in at this point. I will probably wait to see more of a reaction, and like I said yesterday, it may actually be better for us to get down into this region and then retry to actually get an impulse off, because if we can come down here and then actually get a strong impulsive move off the lows, that would be the best case scenario for this to play out for the longer term. But Bitcoin has really not wanted to do anything the easy way recently, so we'll see what actually happens there. But yeah, so I guess expecting resistance and more chop basically is the end result of all of this. So anywhere between 44.2 and 46.7 I think is a fairly decent place to expect the next pump, if we get it, to go, and then rejection from there. So we'll just have to keep monitoring it and see what happens, but certainly maintaining our stops below that 40,600 area is the way to go. All right, guys, good night.